Ladies and gentlemen, order in the court. Today's proceedings finds the people versus James McGill.
Legal troubles got you down, bosses refusing to pay out, hit and run leave you stunned, drug lords in your future, maybe not, because he'll get your case dismissed. He'll get you the defense you deserve, but only if you say the words.
Oh no, whatever shall I do? Oh no, I need legal representation. Whatever shall I do? What do I say? Oh wait, I know.
Better call Saul.
So without further ado, it's time to start. Judging Saul. Court is now in session.
You will atone.
Dragon, this episode was so awesome it literally took my breath away. I have no breath. I have no voice. I have no breath.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that was more episode 2, but, good that you're feeling that way.
No. In all seriousness, folks, I'm sorry. It's been we've been away for a little bit because we've been having some technical trouble, but we're back. The first thing we wanted to get to before we got to even the season shenanigans. That's it, right? No, the haunted holiday hijinks.
Yes, the holiday hijinks.
Dragon, I'm sorry. So we're talking about Winner, the season 4 finale of Better Call Saul. At least I got that right. So Dragon, this is a monumental episode. My God, it's an hour long without commercials. Let's just we got a kind of a mountain to climb with this, and I don't have a voice. And I don't know what to do, so we're just gonna trudge through it, man. We're gonna roll around in the dirt.
Right. So first,
right,
we got to highlight our
yeah. So let's start with some credits, Dragon.
Okay, this we had one of the best directors on this one. We had Adam Bernstein. Adam Bernstein, the director of he's directed Slip. He directed 5-0. He directed uh, Half Measures. That's a big one. Directed Half Measures. Our writer is the great and powerful Tom Schnauz.
Tom Schnauz.
I remember Tom Schnauz, he would have loved to direct this season, but he had some health issues, so he was unable to. But he was able to write some of the finest this season. He wrote Breath. He wrote Expenses, and he also we have Peter, co-creator of Saul Goodman, who worked on this one. He's on a smaller capacity, worked with Schnauz on this, and it was delightful. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. So let's see. So the episode starts with a what is this, Dragon? A swearing in? Do you know exactly what the legalese for this is? I forgot if they mentioned on the podcast or not.
Essentially, this is Jimmy has passed the bar, and this is kind of the ceremonial passing. Essentially, he's being sworn in. It's like graduation day. You're being pledged to, basically being vouched for by a major attorney. And they're vouching for the newbies, the new graduates, and then we reveal Chuck, Michael McKean. He's back again. He's back to life, folks. He's alive. It's Halloween after all, alive. Chuck God. McGill is
Walking Dead crossover.
Pet Cemetery, but legal. Anyway, so Chuck is back in this flashback. I don't know the years per se. I want to say maybe this is roughly 5 years before Better Call Saul. I could be wrong. The point is, this Chuck, he's vouching for Jimmy, which is really big considering Chuck was very anti Jimmy becoming a lawyer. So Chuck is he was supportive of his brother in a venue that it's like, hey, Chuck McGill, HHM senior partner, vouching for my little brother here. He's becoming a lawyer, big deal. But yeah, so Chuck is vouching for Jimmy in a flashback here, and then we cut to the bio is adorable. During this graduation thing, where he's saying, "I'm vouching for my brother James Morgan McGill." We see Kim and Ernie. Ernie's back. We have Kim giving a thumbs up.
Yeah, Dragon, I don't quite get the.
Hello? I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Once more, what were you saying about Kim and Ernie?
Buddy. Go.
Okay. So
Go
anyway,
ahead.
so we have Kim and Ernesto here. The little thumbs up during the graduation.
Can you
Hello.
hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So you were saying about Kim and Ernie. Oh boy. Um. Okay. Anyway. So what happens here? So we cut from Chuck, essentially Chuck bailing Jimmy out of a situation. That's kind of where Chuck operates at his finest here, and after hence the swearing, he kind of swoops in to save his brother, and that's kind of
Are
why
you
he's.
sure you can hear
Well,
me?
I can hear you, but it's sporadic. That's why I'm hearing. I can hear you now, but every time I toss it over to you, you seem to kind of disappear on me. Like now. All right. Okay. Anyway, getting back to things here. So Ernie singing karaoke. Just have this great cut to Ernie singing karaoke very badly at the very same little bar restaurant that the Breaking Bad crew took Warren Buffett once. They met Warren Buffett while they're doing Breaking Bad, and it's the very same place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jane. So what I was saying about Ernie is that I think a little off on this.
You think he's a little off on this? Um. All right. Anyway. Hello. Okay. Anyway. Pressing on. We cut to Ernie singing karaoke very badly. Kim and Jimmy, opponents are all celebrating like they're looking through the songbook. They're about to do a duet together. How adorable! Slip and Kimmy about to do a duet. Ain't that adorable? Kim, so she refuses to do Bohemian Rhapsody. She refuses.
To tell you, man, this isn't looking good.
I'm aware of that. Should we?
I mean,
yeah, this is not shaping up that well at the moment. Um, hmm. Anyway, let's see. Sorry, let me get back to my place here. So Kim and Jimmy, they're about to do some karaoke together. Kim refuses to do Bohemian Rhapsody. He says, "Okay, you're doing your own song. I'm going to do mine afterwards." And we have this cute little banter about, "Hey, I've been a lawyer for 3 hours. I've been Boris' lawyer for 3 hours. If you don't go up there with me, I'm going to sue you. I'll sue you right back. Well, then I'll double sue you. Just imagine me at the height of my legal powers. Imagine that, would you?" So, while they're having this little cutesy conversation, they notice old Chuckers, by his lonesome by the door. And he says, Chuck, he looks very antsy, like he wants to leave. Jimmy is hoping to get Chuck to mingle, get out of his shell a little, maybe meet some of the women folk, which implies that this is after Rebecca has left him. And last time we saw, that's the thing. We know that Rebecca and Chuck have divorced. But we know that they tried to have that failed reconciliation from that other flashback, and that was once Chuck had his his allergy to electricity, which he currently does not have. So this is probably like the divorce before the reconciliation would be my figure, and then Jimmy's just trying to help his brother get back on his feet. So anyway, continuing on here. He sees his brother alone, and his brother's about to leave. So Jimmy rushes over to his brother there and says, "Hey, Chuck, you can't leave me." And Chuck's being all polite. "No, Jimmy, it's all very nice, but I should get going here." So Jimmy, he basically gets his brother to stay by saying, "Look, I'm going to be on next. You're going to hear everyone wowed by my performance tomorrow. You're not going to know what happened." So basically, he kind of coaxes his brother to stay, got to sit close to the front row. So Jimmy gets up there and he begins Ava's "Winner Takes It All," which, by the way, was really hard to clear, apparently. I learned this from the Insider podcast. ABBA, they're very protective over their songs, and of course, out of all the places they're going to let use their song, I mean, they made an excellent choice in the Albuquerque verse, Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, etc. They made a good choice in lending their song out to them. And again, very involved in the song process, apparently. Interesting. So as Jimmy's singing, and again, just singing very badly, and Bob Odenkirk says, "Nope, I'm not faking. That's Odenkirk. The Odenkirk boys don't have good singing pipes." Apparently, that's according to Odenkirk. So, however, his rendition of Bally High was delightful. I must say that was a good rendition of Bally High. But anyway, so Jimmy's singing "Winner Takes It All," which is very thematically tied to this episode in various capacities. We get. He gets Chuck to join him on stage very reluctantly. Chuck McGill, everybody, even up for him. Basically, folks, we've been joking around for a long time. This is like the closest we ever see Chuck to rolling around in the dirt with Jimmy. The closest we see of the two brothers actually having a good time, having fun together. He gets Chuck on stage. And I tell you, I found this so delightful because Michael McKean, he has a history in music. You know, he and David Landers, they perform musically. Michael McKean has a history with singing and records. You know, his stuff on Laverne and Shirley. So he's a big music fan. I'm sorry, the biggest elf in the room. Spinal Tap, and of course he has a huge history with Spinal Tap. So yes, I can hear you now.
All right, let's try this again. Where are you?
I'm right here. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I know. Like, where in the episode?
Yeah, we're at Chuck's been brought on stage. It's the brothers McGill are a duet now.
Okay, and so as they mentioned in the podcast, Dragon, the whole I love the duality of Michael McKean with his Spinal Tap talents and Jimmy McGill, Bob Odenkirk with his Mr. Show like terrible singing talents.
Yes, and
best of both worlds.
I found it so heartwarming, Michael McKean getting a chance to sing on Better Call Saul. I love that so much. I was thinking that the whole episode. Like, I had two things going throughout my mind during this entire scene. One was like, oh my God, it's so nice he gets a chance to sing on Better Call Saul when they bring him back. How adorable.
And of course, it's nice to see Chuck outside of the, the electricity stuff, which obviously we saw earlier in the season, but here he's really in his, outside of his element, but in his element at the same time, I
had to tell you, I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I had a big fear.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dragon. Really quick, my big issue with Ernie, I'm sorry, just because it was such a sticking point, I feel like we need to address it. I don't quite think the timeline matches up with that.
Well, no, Jimmy was in the mailroom before. That's how he met Ernie. Ernie's his friend. He's been there.
Oh, okay. So Ernie wasn't okay. So Ernie was just gotcha. Anyways, I don't want to dwell on it. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Anyway,
for some reason I thought that Ernie was like a new employee in season 3.
No, he knew him ever since the mailroom days.
Gotcha. I'm sorry.
Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So the other fear, I gotta tell you, I had a fear when I was watching this. A part of me was thinking, it didn't come to fruition. I'm not mad at it for that or anything. Just I was watching this. I thought maybe something was going to go wrong with the karaoke and like the microphone might short circuit or something that might create Chuck's, hypersensitivity to electricity. I gotta tell you, part of me, because that's the one thing we still haven't seen with all these flashbacks to the McGill brothers. It's the one thing we haven't seen the beginning of it. I don't know. But still, we have a nice moment between the brothers McGill here. And again, Chuck, I love that it's a sweet moment, yet at the same time, you still see some of the Chuck issues under the surface here, where Chuck, he's in the limelight, and kind of Chuck's living it up in the limelight. It's kind of the ever-present kind of like sibling rivalry between the brothers there.
Yeah, of course, that moment where he just grabs the microphone from Jimmy. Yeah. And I love the story of, just to show how much detail goes into every little bit of the episodes on Better Call Saul, Dragon. The B-roll for the karaoke video was handcrafted and edited to be as cheesy as possible.
More star wipes. Yeah. So, following this, Chuck returns a drunken Jimmy McGill to his apartment. I thought this one of the most delightful things in this opening here to me. I just love this. It's such a fun reverse of years later, Jimmy taking care of Chuck, constantly doing this sort of thing for him. We get to see the complete reverse of it, of Chuck taking care of an invalid Jimmy at the moment, which was quite sweet.
Mm.
So again, basically what we're seeing before us is probably the fondest memory, kind of the fondest moment in the height of the McGill brothers getting along. The love between the McGill brothers, probably the nicest thing we've ever seen between these two guys.
Yeah,
genuinely nice. Yeah,
I'm kind of saving the image reveal for the next scene just to be safe.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, let's see. Keeping on with a little sweet brotherly moment here. We have of course, like Jimmy's kind of getting to this drunken monologue here about, oh, we're two lawyers. How about that? And again, I like that line there because again, there's that level
And
of
you know
Chuck.
what? I really like how this subverts our expectations of, like we would think that Chuck would be bitter and cold. Like, no, Jimmy, you'll never be a part of HHM. But no, it's not like that at all.
Yeah, I do like that there is a bit of like there's like that little there's a slight hesitation if you really pay attention. There's that slight hesitation
Uh-huh.
of like, yes, Jimmy, we're two lawyers now. Again, that's the whole like, yeah, you're a lawyer. It's American Samoa chimp with a lawyer, but a lawyer all the same. But yeah, I love how I just love the irony within all that of
Oh, and
Chuck
of
being
course we
so
have to
supportive.
mention well, I guess we'll get to the song lyrics, once they in bed.
Sure, sure. So Chuck, so we have this really great moment here where again initially just looks like okay, Chuck's taking care of his brother, which is the reverse of what we usually have, which already is nice, but then we make it even better. It's like they keep upping the pleasantries dial to 11 and ripping it off just like Spinal Tap. Where Chuck he stays with
I
him
don't know,
through.
Dragon. I still don't think anything can possibly be as pleasant as that Gus Fring and Lalo face off from episode 9.
Oh, that was pleasant. So Chuck stays with Jimmy through the night, like Jimmy will do for him years later. And then we have this bit where it's like, this is the fun reveal of it from me here. It says, "What do you want for breakfast, Jimmy? Eggs or pancakes?" Pancakes.
Pancakes.
Which
Or,
one?
Dragon, since it's October, I have to do this. As the kid from Cabin Fever might say, pancakes. Pancakes. All right, I'm done.
Or for a random Hellboy reference, pancakes.
All right.
Anyway, so seriously, with the pancakes is kind of a fun reference to episode 9. Remember, they were Kim and Jimmy were in the diner, and he was talking about the best pancakes versus the biggest pancakes. So a little continuity there.
Sure, sure.
So we have the two brothers in the bed, which of course is a little reminiscent of episode 7 of Kim and Jimmy in bed. And we have the brothers kind of bonding in bed there, and then we have they're kind of singing before they go to bed like Bert and Ernie here.
And of course, probably the line that I picked up on the most was the winner takes it all, the loser has to fall.
Yes, I mean, look, believe me
Dragon,
when I
are
say,
you ready for the ultimate Rorschach of the season?
sure.
Who is the winner, Chuck or Jimmy?
Uh, I'd say, yeah, I'm going to say Jimmy. I'm going to say Jimmy was the winner, but he had to fall in order to do that.
But Jimmy McGill is dead, Dragon. We'll get to that. We'll get
Well,
to
you know
that.
what I mean. Saul Goodman, he's still, you know.
Anyways.
My point is, seriously, the song choice, though, just to kind of talk about it here, Winner Takes It All was a perfect choice because all the lyrics in that song are very thematically tied to where the episode goes and kind of what the season's been building to. Like the song thematically, it's about Jimmy not dealing with the pain of Chuck and basically the end of the season there. It's about like, because the song has a lyric of some kind of basically about like not dealing with your pain, which is exactly what Jimmy's been going through this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Again, there's a lot to dissect there, but we're going to spare you some time there, folks. So we come back from this excellent cold open, which already is hitting the sweet spots here. Then we cut back to a guy we know, we love. Some would say we love so much we like to notate it in a little unique fashion. Some would say. And of course, yes, we love Mike. If that wasn't apparent at this point, folks, someone hasn't been paying attention because we love Mike. We love Jonathan Banks. We love him, and we like
And
to
Dragon,
know.
right off the bat, season 4, easily the best Mike storyline of the series thus far.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you there. Yeah, it's definitely it's a winner. It's so good. It's fantastic. But we'll get there. But yes, we love Jonathan Banks. Jonathan Banks, he earns an Emmy this episode. It's such a good Emmy-winning episode for Jonathan Banks. He does such a great job. And we like to notate like a little kind of token from each episode here, a little image from each episode, and you'll see on the left side there, We've made it, folks. 10 Mike images on top of an image of Jonathan Banks eating cake. We did it.
The dream is real.
Yep, and now we can eat the cake. Yes, the dream is real. So, okay, so we just getting with them. You want to start us off on Mike?
Yeah, sure. So basically, he's laying out the foundation, saying that, Warner started out on foot. Of course, we leave last episode with Warner escaping the compound. Him being on foot means they have a better chance to find him. They have to split up. And Dragon, we get to see Mike Ehrmantraut pleasantries on full display. Holy crap.
Yes, we get a lot of Mike starts off in this fugitive dispersal of jobs, like this assignment. Okay, here's what we're gonna do, and then of course Mike is on fire with these student of human observation all throughout this, using weaponizing pleasantries, and it's great.
He's weaponizing pleasantries almost as much as he's weaponizing gum.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Oh boy, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So first off, he's on the phone. Mike's on the phone a lot this episode. He's on the phone and he's calling. Wants a number for Travel Wire, and he's trying to. Basically, he's calling for his wife Marguerite. He's pretending to be Werner.
Uh-huh.
And they basically finds out the branch that Werner was heading to was the branch on 4th. So more on that later. Meanwhile, we have.
Dragon, give me one moment while I pull up the image. Start us off.
Then we see good old James Morgan McGill at Chuck's grave. At his brother's grave. Very prolific image, I'm sure. He's waiting for visitors. Of course,
Boo-hoo.
Basically doing his audition for the Grinch. No, but all seriousness though, so we have Jimmy at Chuck's grave, which is a great image that we've been kind of building to for the whole season. He's not dealt with Chuck at all, and Jimmy is in a position where he literally has to deal with the demise of his brother to advance his own goals for the season. To get his law license back, he has to make nice with Chuck, at least publicly. And the idea is that Jimmy is waiting for visitors to come by and visit Chuck's grave, because today it's not just a random occurrence, by the way. This is because in the episode, today's the anniversary of Chuck's death. Therefore, people would visit the grave. A year has passed since Chuck's death, and of course, Chuck has a big library dedication coming up. So these two visitors wander by, friends of people in the bar committee is the idea. And Jimmy's been killing his time here saying, watermelon pickles. Just one Mississippi, two Mississippi, just waiting for him. And the idea is these folks, Chuck worked with them on the Education Council. They never checked in with them for years, and they're going to be at the big event, the big library, law library opening for Chuck's scholarship. Basically, all the Chuck stuff's really that was put into motion last year, earlier this season, however you want to look at it, is coming to fruition a year later. So again, they've used that time jump so well this season, so well. Everything's lining up, and we get to see characters.
I would say with the exception of one character, which we'll get to.
We'll see where we're going to go with that one, because I might have a disagreement with you on that one. We'll see.
All right.
So yes, basically it looks a lot like this, folks. So there's a great timeline thing here. I won't bog you down with too much here, but basically Jimmy's plan here takes place over the course of a week. Getting to the big weekend of the bar hearing, the law library opening. Bear that in mind. So Jimmy milks the visual sadness, and then of course, literally as they're saying, well, Jimmy's saying, "Hey, it doesn't make any sense." He's just milking the whole "Oh, Chuck, he died so mysteriously. Why, God, why?" he's milking all the visual cues. He's brutal.
We laugh now.
We do, yes. We laugh now.
That's all I'll say.
Yes, and of course, just faking and just hilariously over the top. And they're literally saying the words "boo hoo, boo hoo." It's hysterical. Then what does he do?
All right, he goes up to Kim, grabs a bear claw like Angel Batista.
Yep. I just love the idea of Kim. It's like a stakeout. Kim's on the side in the car with he's a runner during a marathon with donuts, bear claws, coffee, and water, and all sorts of stuff. Just basically spotting him for the whole day. I'm "You doing okay, champ?" That sort of thing. I just love that. That cracks So the idea is they've been doing this for everybody again, basically getting Jimmy's undercutting the whole. Sorry, let me rephrase. Basically, trying to disprove the whole insincere thing from last episode. They're trying to prove that Chuck is sincere. That Jimmy is sincere and missing Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're basically getting Jimmy and Chuck in the same sentence right now. And again, they're going to be working on that for about a week. So again, this is the beginning of said plan. So following that, Jimmy's getting back to it. And also, Howard got the big headstone. We'll know it's I got to tell you, Howard Hamlin knows how to pick a good headstone. It's like a Bruce Wayne headstone, right? That's for the Wayne family. Like Jimmy's rooting like Bruce Wayne from Mask of the Phantasm right now, and I dig it. I love it.
All right.
Okay.
But already he's like elevated himself to an MVP of the show. Let's give it up for Tony Dalton as Lalo.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy he is so charismatic.
Yeah, look, man, I'm so glad Lalo met up the hype that weekend. This is the guy like we knew from the beginning of the show had to be there at some point, ever since Better Call Saul, the episode of Breaking Bad. We knew this guy was coming, and boy, does he deliver so far. This is a big episode for him. I got it. He's the MVP of the. He lives up to because basically the only instruction this guy was working with for this character, Tiki, is he has to play a guy who Saul Goodman is genuinely afraid of. Yet again, like guys holding guns to Saul's head in the desert do not scare him, but the mention of Lalo does.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big kind of like character kind of frame to work from. So Lalo, he's watching Chicken Farm, and this is a thing I had no idea about. So Tiki, for years now in Better Call Saul, we've been wondering where's the Chicken Farm, and we have an answer for why we haven't seen the Chicken Farm.
Yep.
At least why we haven't seen it in its glory. See, folks, apparently the Chicken Farm, because many times when a show wraps up, they have to destroy sets or time passes and things occur. So the Chicken Farm location, that was an actual Chicken Farm location, got torn down, so they cannot physically go to the Chicken Farm anymore. So what they did is they have a matte painting, and the past when we've been to the Chicken Farm, we've seen basically where Arturo gets killed in episode 2. That was the Chicken Farm, but from a shot that we never saw of it, just from the overhead of the trucks and like the inside of the building. We have no exterior shots for this very reason, except the matte painting, which we have now. Hey Lalo, why are you watching that matte painting? What did it do to you? Stare at you? Anyway, sorry.
God.
Anyway, so Lalo, the point is Lalo, he's notating, he's drawing a map of the Chicken Farm that really doesn't exist, but just for the sake of argument exists.
This is actually shot like close to the spot that we see Warner at.
Yes. A lot of fun. It's such a wonderful small world in Albuquerque. It really is. You're gonna basically throw a rock, you're gonna have Breaking Bad location. It's just delightful that way. Anyway, so yes, he's drawing a map of the operations. He's trying to kind of he's most likely trying to take over Gus Fring's operation. That's my guess. And he's kind of mapping out how things are, so he can kind of know where all the little crevices and all the hiding spots are. And he sees a lot of commotion going on there, and he's kind of humming this song. I just love how Lalo's humming and whistling songs throughout the whole episode. I think that's great. So jovial.
Dragon, I have no way to prove this, but I would love it if it was somehow winter in Spanish.
That would be awesome.
Right.
I don't think it is, but I think it would still be the same.
I know, I don't think it is either, but...
I mean, if he's humming it, it would be the same music. It would just be sung differently, you'd think.
Uh-huh.
All right, so while this is going on, Mike is at the Travel Wire place, and he's chatting up this new character I really liked. I don't wrong, he has like something big happens to him this episode, but I liked Fred. What do you think about Fred?
He very much reminds me of Kip from Napoleon Dynamite, which I found a little bit distracting.
I did not get that, but good to know.
But other than that, I love his interactions with Mike, and I love how the guy is just like, he's genuinely just trying to be a good guy and a good humanitarian, but at the same time, he's being stretched so thin.
It's like, what if you didn't have to bribe the guy from God, you know, the copy place guy, Lars, the copy place guy. Like, what if you didn't have to bribe that guy? That's essentially what Fred is. Fred's like the more like moral guy there. He's like trying to do his job and he's trying to do the right things. Like, he's basically, Mike gives him this great story here, and again, Mike knows how to sell a story, darn it. And this is Banks at the top of his acting game here. Or Banks, he says, "Oh well, I was hoping to catch Werner. I don't care what he was doing, but see, he's my brother-in-law, and he's a diabetic with dementia, and we're very worried sick about him. And I gotta tell you, the mention of a brother-in-law again. I think thematically, kind of hinting at some Breaking Bad down the line. Some Hank Schrader looking for Walt in his fugue state. I don't know."
I mean, I read it more as kind of tying together like the Chuck storyline, but
That's not bad either. I like that. I'm just saying the whole brother-in-law, the whole famously. I mean, if there's any show that ever, rarely do you have an important brother-in-law in a story. Tiki, short of Breaking Bad, and Breaking Bad is like one of the most important brother-in-law stories between Hank Schrader and Walter White than you could ever think of.
Sure.
So the point is, he gives him the insulin ticking clock that he has his insulin in a cooler, needs to find him before it's too late, and this kind of gets some sympathy, and he allows him to check the security camera. And he's trying to see like what the name of on the cab company. Basically, Werner took a cab, but he cannot see on the security footage what the cab company was. So clever Mike here. He after he uses the whole like, do you know where the nearest hospitals are? That's what gets him in to see security cameras, by the way. Which I think he just knows how to hammer in the guilt buttons. Just like, oh well, do you know where the nearest hospitals are? It's great. And I love the whole, do you mind? I just love where Mike's kind of breaking his own con there, where he says, hey, do you mind? Basically, he takes the controls because he knows exactly what he's doing versus like the green kid here.
Right.
So again, it's a no-go on the security cam footage. Mike really studies it, so he's about to pick up something. But before he does that, we see Victor outside. Victor's like the angel of death. He's the Grim Reaper of Gus Fring. Victor is not a guy you want to see. Mike sees Victor.
Well, I mean, the reason why Victor, we need to establish him is because he's ultimately what could happen to Werner.
Exactly. Precisely. And again, that's a really great move there, too, with the whole, the threat of a box cutter-esque fate.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we have a little... Mike goes to Fring's car. Now what happens?
I was shocked by this, Dragon. Like, once again, the show subverts my expectations. He actually vouches for Werner.
Yeah. Which is great, man. I love that Mike, he's doing everything in his power to save his friend. Yeah, remember, time has passed. A year has gone by. He's befriended Werner. He's buddies with him. He's a stupid buddy. It's like the annoying neighbor that you gotta love. It's kind of like, it's Kramer for him. It's like, it's a smarter Kramer.
Uh-huh.
And basically, he's telling Fring. I love that he's not keeping Fring in the dark. That's very important. That's why Fring trusts Mike, because he's not keeping it like, I didn't want to tell you because I thought I could figure it out, because that's incompetent. And Fring doesn't do that. He believes Werner is true to his word. He will be back, but again, it's just telling him what he thinks. And I had no idea about this. I'm sure you were blown away by this too. Giancarlo Esposito this season, he broke his ankle, and that's why he's been sitting a lot this season.
I mean, it checks out. To me, it made the stupidly pleasant scene between him and Lalo more impressive.
See, basically, folks, what happened was for episodes 8, 9, and 10, Giancarlo Esposito, you'll never see him standing from just like from head to toe. That's the thing. Like, if he's standing, he's on like an apple box or something to hold to hold his ankle in place, and he'll be sitting otherwise. And that's why it's just kind of great when you think about it. Oh my God, he's doing all this great acting. He doesn't even have to stand because he broke his ankle. Giancarlo's playing hurt, buddy boy. So Mike is asking that he be allowed an opportunity to bring Werner in. That he'd be allowed to do it on his own, because basically he doesn't want his wife to be traumatized if Fring's guys waiting at the airport for him, because they know where he's going to go, and they don't want to risk that. They want to risk, like, even if they do find him, just the traumatized. And Mike wants to bring him in, which gives him 9 hours. He has 9 hours before Warren's like gone for good. So, without and basically the way that Mike convinces Gus here is that without Ziegler, you're going to be, and this is a good setup for next season, by the way. Without Ziegler, you're going to be left with the most expensive hole in the ground since the Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is Mike in the fixer mode here, where again Mike's the fixer and he knows how to kind of he wants to come out of this with everybody alive and everything kicking and everything going well here. He wants to fix the situation, wants to save Werner, and kind of go home happy here. And he then we have this great. So again, Gus agrees to this, and then we have this. I love this so much. I love this detective work on Mike here. Mike using the security cam footage and knowing what Werner has said to him, and knowing what the phone call said, basically about going to a spa when they get back, or he and his wife going to a spa for their backs and everything. Mike approximating the security footage, he picks out the brochures that will lead to spas, and he's basically calling the numbers until he finds the place. Very clever.
I love how we see the guy, hey, is your brother-in-law okay?
Like just kind of blowing him off, and poor Fred. I'm sorry, we know something bad's going to happen to Fred. And also, just speaking of which, kind of the jaws in the room here, Lalo is watching from a distance.
Of course.
Meanwhile, there's a return of one of our favorites. It's Howard Hamlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like if there was a nitpick upon nitpicks that I could give episode 10, all right?
I'm waiting for you, boy. What is it?
I don't necessarily think we get enough of an explanation of what he's been up to since the time jump.
Well, a year's gone by, and he was in therapy, so he's better now.
All right. I can sign off on that. I don't know. I just think it was maybe a little bit too abrupt of a change.
Again, a year has gone by, Tiki. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, and as someone who's been in therapy my whole life, I can tell you that therapy doesn't work like that.
Look, to be fair, all right, I'm just saying and it's not. It's just coping. It's coping with a loss and just viably, at least what we usually see on television. You go through a really harsh period, then over time would heal you, at least to a point where you wouldn't be a mess like Hamlin was at the beginning.
All right. Look, I'll drop it. What's going on with Howard?
So, I love this check-in with Howard. We have like this. Again, I kept thinking it was going to be a commercial, but it's something even better, where basically Howard's in front of a camera. And we have this thing about this. We haven't seen Hamlin in a while here, and we just have this great reintroduction of Hamlin here. It's been a tough. Again, he says it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year, but HHM's on the mend. Is HHM's coming back? Howard, he's basically speaking on behalf of the tribute to Chuck and how this
coming back like Tiger philanthropist. He's giving back.
Essentially, yes. So Hamlin, he's coming to the big law library opening, a tribute to Chuck, and he's HHM again was in really rough shape, and time has gone by, and again with all the Chuck's name being thrown around a lot this year, again HHM's possibly been back on the rebound because of that as well. So again, all this Chuck buzz is going to help HHM out of its hole, presumably. So he basically points to this whole to the Chuck McGill plaque as a good and proper this is a good and proper memorial. So seemingly he's made peace with the whole Chuck thing. Maybe thanks to Jimmy, because Jimmy gave him that advice early in the season. Remember, he gave him that great advice of how are you gonna do? You're gonna you gotta sell, man. You F you, Jimmy. More like that. That whole little anti-pep talk that Jimmy gave him earlier in the season. So he basically we reveal the film crew. We feel our buddies, the film crew, are in this episode. I was so delighted to see them here again. Good old Kid Kubrick, the Boone guy, and Drama Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we basically on camera. Importantly, this is on camera while they're recording. This is the con here. They ask him on camera, "Did you do this?" Oh no, it wasn't me. I didn't pay for this. Someone said that you did. Well, I tell you, it wasn't me. It was an anonymous donor. And we have Drama Girl flirting it around the party, leaking it to the party that Jimmy paid for the whole shindig.
Yep.
Pretty big.
And then we transition into Schweikart and Kim.
Yep. Kim.
I gotta say, Dragon, I really like how Schweikart is still on Jimmy's side. He's kind of like a mini Hamlin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is a mini Hamlin.
Where is Jimmy? I'd like to catch up with him. There's no bad blood between them.
Sure. And yeah, remember, he just took it in stride. Kim was the one who got offended by the whole, Jimmy
right.
pushing his buttons there. So, Kim points out that he points Jimmy. He's like on the balcony, being all brooding and everything. Basically, again, Jimmy McGill is the closest to Batman you'll ever see. He's all brooding and everything. My brother's dead. And to basically keep it under your hat and everything, you just want to spread around. But the fact that Jimmy, he wanted to be anonymous and he is donated. Again, just they're leaking it out so everyone knows that Jimmy's behind the whole library of dedication. Then Kim checks in with Jimmy outside, and Jimmy's reflecting, oh my God, I spent $23,000 on a donation to a library anonymously for Chuck. Of all the things, like he basically laments, like, oh, it would have been great if somehow I could have just saved the judge from a burning courthouse. I mean, it wouldn't have helped at all, but it would have been.
Dragon, what is up with Jimmy's obsession with saving people from burning buildings this season?
I don't know. I just think.
I gotta say, it's kind of reminds me of Rocket and his obsession with like body parts. You know what I mean?
Look, if you want to look for an actual answer here, I'm going to point you to season 1, episode 4, I think, Hero, where he faked a heroic save, like a lawyer turned hero. He's fascinated with the lawyer turned hero story, where he climbed up the billboard and he saved the guy, and that kind of built his reputation. So he's always like delusions of heroic grandeur as a lawyer. I think that's what's kind of been building there for a long while.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Jimmy, he can't. And by the way, I just love this that Jimmy can't even get the food there because he's too depressed to eat. They have to keep up the facade, so he can't even have the little hamburgers that he paid for.
Oh God!
And of course, Jimmy's voicing that this in itself is still really risky because they're hoping that these guys are friends of the board. Like they're assuming all these guys are friends. Like, you hear from a friend of a friend that the bar will hear about this, and they'll basically be swayed that Jimmy is actually sincere. The point is the whole plan's a gamble, and this is kind of slowly weighing on Jimmy throughout the episode. It's going to kaboom in a really big, awesome scene. A big Emmy-winning scene. We're going to get there. So,
oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Mike.
So Mike drop on Warner. He's like, I love how it's like, he essentially, he doesn't need to talk to him. It's just like, oh, he's not in at the moment. Well, no need to leave a message. Thank you very much. It's like he zeroes in so fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Mike, he's on the way and be very strategic about it. Meanwhile, he notices Lalo following him.
Oh boy,
this is a great scene here. So Lalo and then they're Tiki for the umpteenth time. They've taken mundanities and they've amped it up so far and so awesomely. It's great.
As soon as he pulls out the goddamn winter fresh dragon.
Did you know what he was?
No, I had no idea.
I had no idea either. Because basically, okay, so what happens is Mike sees Lalo following him. Of course, if anyone's going to know you're being followed, it's going to be Mike Ehrmantraut. And he pulls into a parking lot, which is Mike Ehrmantraut's bread and butter from his years as a toll booth operator. He pulls in there.
Logic there.
Yeah, it's great. Again, it's such a great payoff too. So clever Mike, he goes in there. They have this great fake out where seemingly he's going for the gun in the glove compartment, but he goes for the spearmint. He goes for the winter fresh gums. All right. And Mike's eyeing Lalo in the mirror, basically waiting for his exact moment to act here. As he's like chewing a lot of gum like the wind, and he's folding the gum into this. Again, initially I thought it was going to be like a parking ticket. Well, I was kind of right. I thought he was just going to like put in the foil. I didn't know what he was fully planning here. He's basically doing some some origami here, and he's folding the wrapper, and we reveal he pulls out at just the right second as another guy is pulling out of the parking lot. So basically, there's a car between him and between Lalo, which is very important. So as Mike he gets out of there, as he leaves, he puts in what essentially is the gum sandwich between the gum wrappers, so it can fit in like a little parking voucher thing. Parking slip. He puts it in the machine. And Tika, this is a great it's a mini payoff if you're paying attention, because 2 episodes ago, I think, episode 7, technically, we had that inside the machine shot where we had the coin, the coin slot of the vending machine, and we have another one of those shots here. We see the mechanisms of the ticket taking machine as it gets gummed up, and it's awesome. It's gummed up. Mike gets out of there, and then we have the next guy again separating him from Lalo, and he can't get through because the machine's all gummed up. It won't work.
I don't know what to tell you. It's just not working.
He's just pushing the little call help button and everything. Lalo's like, "Yo, give me Celia, get out of." And Lalo, he loses his cool, and he basically, as the guy's trying to get so like, the North Gate,
Basically,
yes,
pulls an Ozymandias here.
yes, he rams the guy from behind the milk. And by the way, he is credited as milkshake guy, by the way, the guy with the milkshake. And he basically he rear ends the guy and pushes him forward through the toll and like out to the road. The guy's milkshake goes everywhere, and Lalo, darn it, he missed Mike. It's like boom, like Mike has gotten away, and Lalo he's steaming. This is going to lead Lalo. And yeah, I love that Mike's action here does have a big consequence.
Oh yeah.
So following that, after the mechanism gets jammed. Okay, we have this. Oh my god, here, big Emmy scene. All right, so we're at the scholarship meeting. We're at HHM.
No less than the death of Jimmy McGill itself, honestly.
No, this actually, yes, very much so. This is the death of Jimmy. I agree with, I don't mean just to be a parrot here and just saying like, oh yes, the Insider podcast, but I agree with what they said there. It's like, yeah, this is the death of, more than anything we've done before. This is the actual death of Jimmy McGill. This is a perfect death for him.
All right, let's go for it.
So we're at HHM. We have this great imposing painting of Chuck that replaced the infamous halo. See, in the HHM offices, Howard Hamlin always had this halo built into the background. So whenever his head was in the right spot, he had like this Christ halo you'd see in all the paintings all the time. It's hilarious. Now it's covered by this big imposing painting of Chuck that's eyeballing Jimmy the whole meeting. And we set this up that Jimmy was offered to be part of the scholarship committee, which now again to save face and get like, hey, he's involved in one of Chuck's things, getting the word out. And they are interviewing with, I presume this is the first year the thing's been activated, so it's like a year has gone by, now they're interviewing the prospective scholarship earnees, like the people interviewing for the scholarship. So Ernie?
I'm being silly.
Poor Ernie just would show up there and he'd be passed over. It's a shame.
all right.
So basically, they're meeting, but seriously, they are kind of meeting the next generation Kim Wexlers, because Kim Wexler was kind of a scholarship, kind of HHM paying for a law school bill. So they're kind of looking for the next Kim Wexlers, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So Jimmy's on the board for making appearances here, and then we have this. I love how this scene's edited so much. I was laughing again. It's going to be such a dark, dramatic scene, but it starts off so hilariously here. The editing on this cracks me up, and this is the Howard Hamlin I've been missing here. I just love what we do with Hamlin here, where it's like Hamlin's back at full strength, and I love it. Mm-hmm. All the prospective scholarship guys, the students that they're interviewing, they come in and they basically, Howard Hamlin's read all their files, and he basically has like he shares a little tidbit with the board. There says, this is so and so, and he's into this. What can you tell us about that? And right before the kid speaks, mid sentence we cut to the next guy coming in. So it's so neurotic, and I love it. It's like so self-conscious in the editing. It's like great paranoia of an interview. So we have like Duncan, and we have like Duncan.
Christie's question is, tell us about your work with the elderly.
I know, and I love that because that's going to add to the parallel even more coming up. We have like Duncan, Margie, Franklin, Theodora, Christy Esposito, very important. And then lastly we have so again after all the interviews and Howard's reviewing his notes here, we have Julie. By the way, we've never shouted her out. I just want to shout her out real quick. I love Howard Hamlin's assistant. Julie seems really nice. He kind of pops in there and he says, "Oh, Julie, did they get the just motioning for this little?" I knew it was a bag, but I didn't know it 100% until we saw it. So I knew Howard Hamlin is just so Tiki. I don't know if you noticed this. He's so proud of the HHM bag. He's like, did they get these? Did you see him perk up when he does that? He's just so eager for the bag. He's like gung ho about the pleasantries. Did you get him lunch? Did they get the? Yes. Okay, we can send them on their way then. So the board takes a vote. Now, how does this vote go?
The vote. Give me 1 sec. Sorry. Just trying to get the names right. Okay, Raymond Chin, 6 votes. Duncan Springer, 6 votes. Marcy Ramirez, 5 votes. Franklin Pickett, Theodora Moon, and Tristan all with 3 votes each, and Christy Espinoza with 1 vote. So we have 3 front runners and 3 scholarships to give out.
And unless
objections, as if this is a wedding dragon, this is totally like a speak now or forever hold your peace moment.
Yep. Jimmy has an objection. Jimmy has he basically kind of sheepishly kind of gets involved here, and he's asking that Christy Esposito that she get another she get another consideration, that we basically break, and before we make a final deliberation, we kind of review her thing again. So and of course, the minute he brings up Christy's name, they're reviewing their notes, and of course, the main note that they made, the only one that matters to them is, oh yes, the shoplifter. And I love that moment of pause. It's that great eerie moment of pause there where Jimmy has takes it in. Yes, the shoplifter. And just to summarize it a little bit here, he thinks that she should get another shot, because she the shoplift. We'll get into the real reasons why, but I mean, Jimmy essentially is saying that if her grades are good enough, she's really put in the elbow grease the last 2 years. Read her essay. That experience really gave her passion for the law. I think it's we should definitely give her another consideration. I think she deserves that. And Howard,
he points out how good the essay was too.
I know, that's the thing, because again, the essay is what really struck him. I presume that's the one that made it stick out to him. So Jimmy essentially is kind of defending himself there, and we'll get into the full thing right after the verdict here. I like to think, Tiki, you can tell me if I'm crazy on this, I like to think Howard genuinely hears Jimmy out here, and
I do too, Dragon. I do too. When he says he makes a hell of an argument, I really think he's sincere about that.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think Jimmy and Howard have made peace in the year that's gone by, and I think a part of Hamlin is grateful for what Jimmy said to him. I think that got him out of his funk. That's my theory on it. But the point is, Howard, he genuinely hears Jimmy out here, and he gives, okay, folks, let's give it another vote. And then we cut to the outside, and here's the Emmy. Here's the beginning of Emmy sheer, the Ozymandias of Emmys for Jimmy McGill.
All right, and I have it, Dragon, if you want me to recite it.
All right, go on.
All right, you didn't get it. You were never going to get it. Sorry, hold on.
All right, well, Jimmy runs outside. He catches her before she leaves, and tells her the bad news.
They dangle these things in front of you. They tell you got a chance, but I'm sorry, it's a lie. Because they already made up their mind. They knew what they were going to do before you walked in the door. You made a mistake. And they're never going to forgive you for that. As far as they're concerned, your mistake is just, well, it's who you are. It's all you are. And I'm not just talking about the scholarship here. I'm talking about everything. I mean, they'll smile at you. They'll pat you on the head, but they'll never, ever let you in. But listen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, because you don't need them. They're not going to give it to you. So what? You're going to take it. You're going to do whatever it takes. Do you hear me? You are not going to play by the rules. You're going to go your own way. You're not going to do what you're going to do. You're going to be smart. You're going to cut corners, and you're going to win. They're on the 35th floor. You're going to be on the 50th floor. You're going to be looking down on them. And the higher you rise, the more they're going to hate you. Good. You rub their noses in it. You make them suffer. You don't matter all that much to them. So what? Screw them. Remember, the winner takes it all. I'm sorry, just after such a dramatic scene, it just cracks me up that Jimmy has to resort to the song lyrics to tie it all together.
Which makes you think he's thinking of that cold open, hence the reason we saw the cold open. You understand what I'm saying, right? Yes, I think I do. And again, you see Jimmy here. He's hoping that he's saved her soul. Essentially, he's hoping that he's helped this girl here. And I love that it's so ambiguous. You don't know if she got it, or if she's just like so crestfallen by what he's told her. It's hard to tell.
Right. It's basically like a get a lawyer moment.
Essentially, it is, but it's the most elaborate, and I mean the best of ways here. So to break this down a moment here. So I love that essentially what happens here is, so Jimmy, he So let me get to the big payoff, then we'll break it down here. So Jimmy, he
Dragon, I believe I can actually play the audio if you want me to on the breakdown.
okay, let me set it up for a moment here. So Jimmy
Okay.
goes to the HHM garage where he's been so many times before, the very same parking level where he and Kim have always hung out and everything. And his car, again, the esteem will not start. And it goes a little something like this.
Holy cow. I mean, my God, there's a reason why I wanted to play that instead of us just talking about it, man.
I mean, that
Just
is, for all intents and
down your
purposes,
spine, you know what I mean?
that is the death of Jimmy McGill. Are we right?
It totally is. It's got to be. If any moment is the death of Jimmy McGill, it's that moment right there.
So to break it down a little, so this Chris D'Esposito thing, I thought was a brilliant stroke of genius because what this gives us an opportunity.
Basically, Dragon, to sum up my feelings on it, just cast Bob Odenkirk as Rorschach.
Come on, let's
Just do it right now. Just, I don't care. He's Rorschach. He's the Rorschach.
I think you're missing the point.
There's so many emotions running through this moment, Dragon. This moment is like, I don't mean to sound cliche or millennial here, but this moment is everything. All right, this moment is like everything that this show's been building up towards. It's basically like the personal emotional chicanery of Jimmy McGill's own emotional turmoil.
Hmm. Yeah, it is really super. I mean, just to break it down a little, what's so brilliant about this here. So one, I love Jimmy on the scholarship committee is basically that's kind of Chuck's final insult. He has to live through that insult of like, his brother always looked down on him for the whole American Samoa thing. And he has to be part of an elitist system here of like, you're not good enough for HHM. And he has to do that to kids and all these. And basically he's going to do this girl the dignity of telling her. And again, this is something that we've been building up since the beginning where Jimmy's going from job interview to job interview and he's had kind of these moments. And we've had those moments where he wants a direct answer instead of waiting for the letter and waiting to be let down. And right off the bat, he runs out there, and that's his first instinct to kind of belay her the inevitable fall that she's about to incur. And I love that, and I love more so that basically he was defending himself, and basically kind of, again, there's such a Rorschachian element to it. Yes, there is, absolutely. There's so many ways to take this scene. I think they're all right, to be honest. I think you can read them all and say they're all very
I think it's a little bit of everything.
And that's the thing, because I think first off, it's Jimmy's
breakdowns work, Dragon. It's not just one thing. One thing often triggers it, but the emotional breakdown itself is just the buildup, the culmination of things.
I mean, first off, I think he genuinely cares about the girl. I think that's one level of it. He cares about the girl, and he wanted to give her a shot because he saw a lot of himself and a lot of what he's been through for the last 2 seasons in her, and he wanted to give her a shot, and they shot her down. Much like, again, he's been shot down by specifically HHM as well in the early seasons as well. And beyond, so then you go to the part that he's really sad that because he shattered her optimism. He killed her worldview basically he pulled a Saul Goodman move, and this is the first time Jimmy McGill realizes he's becoming Saul Goodman. This is the first time where he realizes I just did a Saul Goodman thing where I took the whimsy out of the law for her. I killed her by demysticizing the law. I'm like, hey, if you're good enough, you can do anything. Or no, you're not going to be able to do anything because you have this blemish on your record, which has stagnated you from doing anything else in life. So you got to do it. You got to cut corners. Basically, you have to become. He gave her the pitch of you have to become Saul Goodman. So he had to kill all of her hope and optimism. And in that revelation, I think Jimmy realize he's becoming Saul Goodman, and this is basically Odenkirk's revelation of, you find out that you've been this great character for all these seasons, and then you're going to become the scummy ambulance chasing strip mall lawyer. You wanted to be like an HHM lawyer, and you wanted to be a Wexler McGill lawyer, and in the end, you're going to be a strip mall lawyer. So that's him realizing that. But I think the other way of looking at the direct answer of looking at it is Jimmy has realized in spelling this out to the girl that he doesn't have a chance either, and that all of the stuff he's doing with being there at the scholarship meeting, the library, everything, it's still a long shot because they're going to remember you as the insincere guy. So I think all of that is applicable to what's going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of everything.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just such a great scene. We got to move on, or else we're gonna be on this all day. Okay, so believe me, Emmy, folks, just someone of Emmy, Jonathan Banks, polish the Emmy and give it to the guy, would you? Okay. So following that excellent scene, just oh boy, it's right there. Lalo, we go from such a great moment of acting to Lalo about to do something truly horrible.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So Lalo visits Fred. He visits Fred.
Everything's gonna go well for this guy, right?
Yeah, it's like the beginning of Lego Batman. It's that one Lego, nothing bad ever happens to me. It's like, that's Fred. So Lalo is Fred. Again, this is the danger of Lalo, and I love that we get to see it executed before the end of the season. I kind of called that we were going to see an example of this by the last episode. Of Lalo being all pleasant, smiles, and if Tuco had a bubbly song and dance personality, he'd be Lalo.
Right.
So Lalo, he's acting like a friend of Mike's, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, my friend came by here," and basically he gets the information, gets the whole story from him, and
Lalo's got kind of like a De La Cruz vibe going on with them a little bit.
He does, yeah. It's kind of De La Cruz meets Timothy Dalton. It's kind of like that. And essentially, what he does, and this is the great thing about Lalo, it shows you that Lalo is smart. If not super smart, he's smart enough. He's smart. He's a level of smart that could go toe to toe with Mike Ehrmantraut, which is scary. Where he basically fishes for the information from the other guy. He basically hey, well, what happened? And did you see my bald friend come through here? And he basically says, oh yeah, I was looking for his brother-in-law. And he basically uses all that to get the information he needs.
Once again, he's like, is a brother-in-law okay? Like, I love how invested this guy is with the brother-in-law. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He says, no, we still haven't found him. No. So he denies him a chance to look at the security cam footage because either Fred gets a sense that something's not right here, or he just doesn't want to do it again. And then we have this beautiful bit, and this is all done in one shot, by the way, which is amazing. After Fred turns around here, he turns back, and all in one shot, thanks to a stunt guy, the great Al Godo, kind of staging and choreographing the stunts here. Lalo is gone, and I knew someday. I didn't know. I knew he was going to be on the other side. I didn't know how he was going to do it, though. What happens is Lalo somehow, when he turned away, Lalo climbed up a ceiling tile on the other side. He climbed to the other side. He crashes down and lands right on his feet. That's impressive. And then, of course, he pulls a gun on Fred. We didn't even see him do the thing. We just but the next moment, I believe it's. Basically we see the Werner information on paper, and then we just see poor Fred. He's dead. Poor Fred's dead, and we see his legs on the ground. He's like, oh man, Lalo, why'd you have to kill him, man? Like, Lalo.
I think that information is going to get back to Mike Dragon.
I'm sure of it, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Lalo has Werner's name. He has the information, knows where he's staying. He has all the information that Mike couldn't even get this information because, again, it would have meant killing the guy or doing something horrible to the guy. And he was telling the creepy thing is there's a guy trying to get in outside, and he turned the open sign to close, oh, get out of here, go, just waves him off, get out of here. So Mike and Werner are definitely in trouble here, to say the least. All right. So, getting back to from there, I believe we go to Werner, right?
Yes. We see Werner poolside, a cocktail. He gets a phone call.
I love Werner living it up in the Hawaiian shirt and everything. I love it. He then gets a call, and it's Lalo, but Lalo is playing it off like again what he did with Fred, where he's like I'm a friend of Mike's. I'm one of Mike's guys, and this is Mr. Fring upset. And this is what do you think? Again, he's fishing for information. He's great that way. He's smart enough, He's not a genius, but he's smart enough. And basically, Werner on his own, foolishly on his own, Werner he spills that Fring is working on a hole in the ground. Again, he doesn't have a lot of information, but he knows that Fring is working on something subterranean, and Werner was building, and most likely with a number of guys, he was building something. And he gave Mike, and again, now he has Mike's name. He says, I gave Michael the letter with the instructions. I mean, oh yes, but Michael's kind of busy right now. And then we have Tiki. I gotta tell you, I was putting my fist in the air with how this was executed. I love Mike's entrance here, like just the right moment here. The south wall, yes, the south wall. The Mike just appears like he's freaking Batman. I love it. He just appears. He grabs the phone out of his hand, and he grabs the phone. He's just listening on the other end of the phone, and then Lalo's like, Werner, I didn't quite catch that last part. Here's that pause, and then Lalo puts it together. And this is like a delivery like what we were going gaga over in the previous episodes. The whole, same old Hector just wants to kill everybody. It's like one of those deliveries.
Kill everybody.
Where here he says, Michael, is that you?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so predatory.
It's great. And it's pleasant.
It's such a mixture of predatory and pleasant.
No, I love it. Oh, guys, it's fantastic. So Mike's got a new problem to deal with. Anyway, Werner, he initially, and this is the sad thing about Werner, he still just doesn't get it. He plays it cool. Like, what did you... he's playing it cool, and Mike. But before he even starts, Mike says, "Get dressed. I don't want another word. I don't want another darn word out of you." So,
oh boy,
Mike's peeved to say the least. Mike's really unhappy, and believe me, folks, we love Jonathan Banks, but you don't want to. We've seen jovial, grumpy Jonathan Banks, but you don't want to see Jonathan Banks. You don't want to see the business end of Jonathan Banks. Let me put it to you that way, folks. You do not want to see that. All right. Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy stumbles home. Kim's been arranging the order of which he's going to make his points. The problem was starting with remorse, so they rearrange it so that he starts with the law, then plans, and then remorse. She's got it all kind of mapped out for him.
She emphasizes this is the one time, again, this is important, this is the one time you don't want to wing it. And then Jimmy, the idea is he's been really morally, again, that he just died. Jimmy has essentially died right now. And he's just kind of coming back, and he's very defeated by what's happened during the day. And he's then faced with one of the various Rorschach-y conclusions from that scene, where I'm still just that guy, Kim. This is probably not going to work. And he says, well, maybe, and then Jimmy gets an idea. One could say an awful idea, a wonderful, awful idea, where Jimmy basically gets an idea where he goes. And I love this. I love that this came back again a year later. This came back in a big way. Jimmy grabs Chuck's letter. He says, "What if Chuck did the talking for me?"
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant setup. We're going to see where that goes. Meanwhile, we have so again, just to address this here, Chanel's pointing this out, and I love that he kind of beat us to the punch on this. There is somewhat of a Dunkirkian editing trick done on this episode, somewhat. They were going to go more Dunkirk-like in the original edit of this episode, but essentially what happened, this is really clever. All the Mike stuff happens within 24 hours, and Jimmy's thing happens through the course of a week, yet we line them up like a day-night cycle, and that's why it's just it's a seamless effect, right?
Yeah, it works. It totally works.
Yeah, not an ounce of confusion there, really. You kind of get it.
I wasn't really noticing the fact that the Jimmy stuff was happening over the course of a week. It was like something you don't even think about.
I know, right? And that's the magic of it all, right there. Like, you don't know that because you're so enraptured in the Mike stuff, and then the whole Jimmy's going through the motions. Like, yeah, sure, all that happens in one day. Well, yeah, maybe not. So, anyway.
All right. Speaking of Mike, I feel it appropriate to bring up the image again for this last scene.
Oh yes. Of course, folks. We love. Yes. So it's nighttime, and we're at the worst place you could be in the Albuquerque verse. We're out in the desert at nighttime. And Mike has taken Werner all the way out to the desert, and he's calling Gus. He updates Gus on what's going on. The fact that there's on the wife, that the wife's going to be at the airport. Lalo, basically, someone was on to him, and basically Werner kind of spilled the beans on some stuff. And do you have any idea who it is? And Gus Fring has that great line, "I do." Gus knows that. Oh yeah, it's that Lalo guy. I knew he didn't want my chicken. So Mike, so basically Frank's spelling it out to him that you wait there. I'm gonna be there. And Mike asked him. He asked Gus to consider going another way. And he says, "I know you would." He says, "Well, then it would be a mistake." Noted. And then we hear the closest thing to Gus not having a nice word to Mike is this line here, where he says, "This discussion serves no purpose." And that's kind of a scary thing to hear Gus Fring say. Like, there's no way of convincing him at that point. Mike then asks to do it himself. Mike asks, "Can I do it?" Basically, spelling out that Werner's going to
basically the old Yeller moment, Dragon.
Yes, he's my dog. I'll take care of it. Where Mike asked to do it himself. And Tiki, I love this, especially on a rewatch. I love the fact that Gus asked him if he's sure, because Gus knows how he stopped Mike from killing people before, and he knows why that's a big sticking point. And Gus is just making sure here that it's like, are you sure you want to do this? You don't have to do this. And Mike saying, yes, I'll do it. Again, it's Mike's responsibility, and he kind of let him off the leash in the first place. It's Mike's responsibility. I just love that Gus trying to unburden Mike like that. And then, of course, this is the whole, folks, what's about to unfold is the big half-measure payoff of the whole season.
Basically, this is a payoff of Mike, not just through Better Call Saul, but for Breaking Bad as well, Dragon. It's that big.
Yes, this is one of the biggest moments in the whole Albuquerque-verse for Mike Ehrmantraut. It's a huge moment for many reasons, actually. So he tells Werner to get out of the car, and he's asking what the end game was. And he says, "Oh, I thought I would basically get rid of the rep."
I thought I would go back, and my friend Michael would be very, very angry with me. But then time would pass, and it's so pathetic and sad how Werner is just like he's completely in over his head.
He just doesn't, and that's the thing. So we see Werner does have a problem here where he just doesn't get it. He's never going to get how seriously screwed he is in these situations here. He's basically here's where it kind of dawns on you. One, he's thinking he can just ask forgiveness for what he's doing. It's better to ask forgiveness than permission. That's essentially what he's kind of equated all this to. Werner, he just doesn't get it at all, and he's still optimistic that take me back to the hotel. He's still asking to go back to the hotel and spend some time with his wife. That's the thing. That to me spells out that he really doesn't get it. This is basically to Mike. It signals to Mike that this guy, he's never going to change. This guy is never going to change. And he says, "I'll just speak to Mr. Fring." He says, "No, you will not be speaking to Fring." And Werner, nothing. And then Mike spells. This is the bit where it dawns on Werner finally. He spells it out to Werner. "Werner, nothing you say or do will make anyone trust you again." This leads to the realization. He looks around. It's like, uh-oh, I'm in the desert in an Albuquerque show. That's not good. He tries bargaining by going home without his money. Like, "I'll go home without my money. I won't say a word. I won't say a word." And this to me was beautiful. This is where I got to. This got me so emotional here. Where Mike, he gave him a chance to save his wife. I love that that's the thing that Mike would do that Fring wouldn't. He's like, Mike's giving him a chance to save his wife by calling her because he said his wife's been followed, and Warner's freaking out, and he's like, "Oh, my wife, give me the phone." "Not yet. Calm down." Just, "Shut up and calm down." And so he calms down, and then he tells Werner, gets on the phone. He calls his wife. And again, we know the whole wife and family parable that we've been setting up with Mike this whole season pays off here, where they've been talking about their wives and their families and everything. And again, Mike genuinely wants to save his wife here. So Werner calls. He says, "Whatever you do, you have to make her believe you, so she will not come. So she will not go looking for you here." So Werner,
Dragon, this basically goes from one old Yeller moment to another old Yeller moment where it's just like, "No, turn back. I never loved you anyways."
This is Old Yeller times 10 essentially. This whole scene really is.
God.
It just keeps getting late. It's like imagine killing Old Yeller with an Uzi or something. That's pretty much it. So essentially, Werner, he's on the phone with his wife, and this is yeah, you're absolutely right. This is very Old Yeller-esque, where he's just like telling her like, no, I know what I said. Works piled up here. Go home, and she's like upset. She wants to know why, but we're not getting her side of the conversation. This is the sad part to me. This is the bit that kills me. This bit that makes me really bummed out. In fact, the last conversation he's ever going to have with his wife, and he has to yell at her. He has to scare her and yell at her and make a point here. He tells her to shut up, and like, I don't want to see you. That's the last word he has to his wife. Essentially, is I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
And
Man.
and oh boy, I'm just saying we're getting to the big meat and potatoes out here, folks. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but we're going to go ahead. So essentially, what's so brilliant to me, what dawned on me here, we parallel the Full Measure episode. Remember, literally, Tiki, I don't know if you picked up on this. We paralleled the exact scene from Full Measure, the ending of season 3, where Walt was called down. Think about it, Tiki. This is the same scene where Mike has to do this to Walter White, only Walter White figures a way out of the situation. It's the exact same scene where he even allows Walter White a phone call because of what he did for Werner. He allows him to use the phone because of Werner.
Yep.
Remember, he's saying he got close to befriending Walter White in season 3. Like, they had that, they got close to being friends that season. And towards the end there, he kind of liked Walter. He said, I don't know, he's sorry he has to do it, but he will do it. And now we're seeing why he has to do it, because the last time he made a friend, this happened. So like the next time Mike's so hesitant to make friends with Jesse and Walt because of this scene. Essentially, it's like why Mike doesn't let anyone get close to him for a long time, and then Werner is pleading for his wife's here, saying like, Michael, there will be questions, and he makes him swear that his wife is going to get closure. That we'll send Germans there to tell her what happened. They'll she'll have answers. She'll have closure. This I swear. It's oh my god. And the men, they're going home. They can be trusted. They're going home. So essentially, the Germans are going to be sent home after tonight. And I love that what Werner has done his last moments here is he saved his wife, and he saved his kind of proverbial children. He saved he's been the paternal figure to the boys, the German boys. And they're going to go home safe in the exchange for his life. Now there's no, and this is the heartbreaking thing for Jonathan Banks right here. Michael, is there no other way truly? And we just hold on that shot of Mike. And Mike knows there is another way. Like, he could just not do it, but he knows he has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I'm not. Basically, the answer is like yes, but I'm not taking that right out. I'm not doing that. So then we have like a very Men in Black-esque moment here where he says, "Oh, I love looking at the stars, Michael. I'm just going to walk over here to look at the stars."
It's very Mice and Men, Dragon.
It is. It's so Mice and Men. It's Mice and Men.
Uh-huh.
Mice and Men meets Men in Black. I love it.
Oh God.
So we have this beautiful haunting shot, one of the best shots of the season here. And again, did you think we weren't going to see it initially? Do you think we were just going to hear it?
I don't know. I think they played a good happy medium with this.
And this is just
done.
It looks so great because we have this shot from a distance where we see the stars, we see the darkness, and basically they're walking in. You can see the shadows, and they walk a few paces, and Mike, from a distance, because you can't barely see that up close. He puts one in the back of Werner's head, and he falls over. And of course, now Tiki, this is a hugely significant moment because this is the first time Mike's killed somebody, not counting the guys who killed his son in the other universe. The first time Mike's killed somebody in a long time. So it's Mike's first kill, which we've been building up for 4 seasons now. We have. So I love that Werner has the honor of being like that first kill. That's in the first, out of cold blood. It's big, and I love it.
And it just goes to show that Mike's descending into hell in much the same way that Jimmy is.
Yeah, and that's the perfect parallel for them this season. They're both, they're both. It's the point of no return for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we have Gus in the super lab, which the idea I took from this, Tiki, is that the Super Lab, this is why it takes so. Basically, this is why we don't see it completed until Breaking Bad. Like it would have been completed this season, possibly, but now we've had the Germans are going home, and now the Super Lab's been kind of halted in its construction. So he's showing Gale Hey, it's Gale! Showing Gale around. Who's marveling at the space, because at least they have like a kind of like version 1.5, if you will, of the Super Lab. The space is at the ready. It just needs to be finished and kind of linoleumed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also Gale has the notebook, Tiki. He has the very same notebook that says, that he dedicates to Walter White. That years later, so they're going to be the big undoing. He's making the notes in the Super Lab notebook right now, and he's basically Gale Boetticher. He's all eager and everything, looking at it, seeing the possibilities. He's assuming that we could even cook with it like this right now. And Fring just gives him a dead-eyed look, and Fring gets really serious with him here. He says, not until it is ready. Is it point blank? Gale Boetticher's bouncing off the walls, like no, not until it's ready. And he genuinely scares Gale Boetticher here.
Mm-hmm.
Scares him upstairs. I'm going to go upstairs. He goes upstairs, and we have the shower. He tries to introduce himself to Mike. And again, this is why Antigua. This is the sad tragedy of it all here. This is why Mike's not friendly anymore. This is why Mike's not me. He's not going to make friends with Gale Boetticher. It's like, hi, it's the perfect punchline to all that Werner story. Like, hey, I'm Gale Boetticher. It just doesn't give him time of day. He looks down to Fring, and the two of them have that knowing look to each other. Mike walks away. Okay, then we have the big scene. Big again, so the other Emmy scene.
All right, and I've got just set it up, and I've got it pretty much for word.
Good. Okay, so it's the day. It's the end of the weekend, or like the day after the weekend, whichever. It's the day of Jimmy's big bar hearing. Essentially, Jimmy.
Dragon, set it up to the speech itself. So after Jimmy starts to read the letter. Okay.
I know. I got it. I'm working on it.
Okay.
So Jimmy, he's essentially, this is the last shot that Jimmy has, because the paperwork has been filed by the committee, and they already have a predetermined answer, and this is Jimmy's last shot at saying something that might change their minds. And this is the whole thing that he and Kim have been working on. They've been trying to get word of mouth buzz and hoping to change their minds already at this point. But again, Jimmy's thinking that's hopeless, so this is really the last shot. So they're going, and Tika, this is great. They're going in front of the bar committee, and this is the same exact location that we were at in the cold open, where Jimmy was sworn in by the bar committee. It's the same exact location, the same background and everything. I love it. So full circle and delightful there. Right before they go in to do that, though, Kim says, "Jimmy, whatever happens in there, I'm with you," which is a very big line for what's about to happen. So. We have the big Emmy statement. So do you want me to just to the speech itself, right?
Yeah, to the speech itself.
So Jimmy, he begins. Basically, he doesn't have a statement in mind, but he wants to read from Chuck's letter initially. Good here, or should I go through the letter?
Go through to where he stops at the letter.
Gotcha. Sorry, I just want to make sure. So Jimmy. Essentially, Jimmy starts to read Chuck's letter. The whole Chuck saying to Jimmy in the will. Yeah, I love that we know what this letter says, because Jimmy literally read through this whole letter. I think it's a great payoff here. Maybe also you want to switch images too, by the way. Well, anyway, so what Jimmy's doing here is he's reading through the letter that we know what this letter says from top to bottom from episode 4, I think, from Talk. So essentially,
no, it's something beautiful.
Something, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, something beautiful, because it's the letter is something beautiful. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, so from that episode, we know exactly what it says. So Jimmy is he's starting to read off like, "Oh, Jimmy, the happiest day I've never seen Mom happier when you were brought home from the hospital." And that line gives Jimmy pause. Maybe because Jimmy's thinking back to the cold open, like that one happy moment with Chuck. But it's then Jimmy changes his mind. He says, "You know what? I was going to read this to elicit some emotions, jerk some tears, essentially, and I can't do this. This is between me and my brother. My brother wrote this for me, and it'd be wrong." And then he basically kind of fires in the middle. And by the way, Tiki, again, the image.
Oh, right. Okay, hold on. Got the image set up. One sec.
So basically, Jimmy's going off book here, and I love how you can keep seeing Kim's reaction of her just kind of going like she's again she's. I love that we see see her in her reactions. She's thrown off by this, but she's game, like, not panicking, but she's working it out and she's rolling with it because she's like, well, I don't know, this is probably not going to work. Like we gave it our best shot, and I'm going to be standing by him no matter what happens. So Jimmy's winging it. He's putting that letter back, and how's it go?
1 second, Dragon. Sorry. Listen, my brother Chuck, you knew him. He loved me in his own way. He loved me as a brother. He did not love me as a lawyer. Big reason I became a lawyer was Chuck. He was the most brilliant man I ever knew. An incredible lawyer, you know? And he knew exactly who he was. Exactly. And all my life, I wanted to make him proud. And he was not an easy man to make proud, you know? Like climbing Everest without supplies. If you were one of the lucky few who reached that peak, even for a moment, if you made him proud, wow, what a feeling. Woo. And he let you know it too. But if you weren't one of those people, he was polite enough, but he did not suffer fools, you know? And he could be judgmental and difficult, and he knew how to get under your skin, and could be a real son of a bitch. Chuck was the one who was always right. Always. And usually he was. You know? So for a guy like me, I did lousy in school, I lacked ambition, I always cut corners. I mean, for me to live up to the standards of Charles McGill, I mean, look at me. I'll never be as moral as him. I'll never be as smart. I'll never be as respected. I'll never be as good as Chuck. But I can try. I can try. If you decide and I get to be a lawyer, I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of the name McGill. And if you decide I'm not a lawyer, it doesn't matter. I'll still try and be the best man that I can be. Holds up the letter. I'm lucky I got this letter. I never had a chance to write him a letter and to tell him all the things that I should have. And I gotta believe that somehow he knows. And then that'll have to do it for me.
Right.
That's it. All right. Yeah, wow, what a scene. What a scene. And of course,
just launch all the Emmys at him right now.
The bar's getting emotional.
Yep. Kim's in tears, the board's in tears. And it's warranted. I mean, I guess as far as
hold on. Not that, ignore that. We get that. Sorry.
Yes. We have a little moment of victory. Everything's good.
Dragon, we were kind of joking about this before, but my God, it feels like almost every episode this season they've pulled this shit with us, and we always fall for it, and we're like suckers, Dragon. We're like Oliver. We're like, thank you, sir. May I have another? Where it's like, oh, this is the last moment that Jimmy and Kim are gonna have happy together.
I love that, and here's the thing: I love with that scene and what Kim with Wexler in this scene right here. I love that. Like she's happy because Jimmy's dealt with the feelings he had about Chuck for a year now with that letter. Like that's why she's really happy, and the more she's more happy about that than the fact that he killed it in there. Don't get me wrong, she's happy about that, but I love it's like everything's like the way she's reading it right now. Like, oh my god, it was so moving and beautiful. And Jimmy, you did it. You reached in the heart. You defied my expectations. You did great. But then something happens. Kim's
Yeah,
congratulating
Jimmy
Jimmy.
drops the ball and says, like, did you see that sad son of a bitch in there? I had him crying. That asshole.
Oh god. The minute he says that, it's like some bad's about to happen because you see
Dragon,
her.
the acting on Seahorn, man. That face drop. My God. My God.
Oh boy, I mean Ray Seahorn is she's the perfect punctuation to this whole season. I love that we end on her face, but getting to that point real quick. So Jimmy is pulled. He basically revealed that Jimmy's pulled the heartstrings con, which is the lowest con that a person can pull, where you get people to actually feel for you. And again, he did it better than anybody else. And basically, as he says, as Saul Goodman, he saw the Matrix just now. He saw the Matrix of the con. He read the room. He basically his hesitation with that letter wasn't him. The way he says it, his hesitation with that letter wasn't emotion. It was him realizing this isn't going to be enough. And now it could be him deluding himself. Part of me would like to think that deep down he was feeling it, and then I think it's that mixed in with the con. I think it's both of those things. But again, that's the Rorschachian element of the season for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then of course this is the sad part here, where he basically said he gives all the credit in the world to Kim here, where he says, "You were right. You were right about Chuck. He was the perfect way of doing all this. You were right." Basically using Chuck for my own good. There, it was perfect. It was like basically he let it flow like improv, like jazz, and then he found his hook. He could see the Matrix. And then Jimmy, essentially, he gets the good news, and I love that. Where basically the one of the assistants comes out there and says, "Hey, Mr. McGill, we want you to. The bar want you to come back." And it's, "Oh boy, I know what this is all about." And he's about to sign some papers and everything. And he asks a quick question of like, "Oh, wait, by the way, I need a DBA because I'm going to be practicing under a different name." He says, "Oh, no problem there." And of course, as he says this is a big news to Kim. And of course, this is destiny calling him away from the Jimmy McGill history that is Kim Wexler. And you see her crestfallen and shocked, like, "Jimmy, what's going on? What do you mean?" And of course, what is his response?
He turns around, gives his face, and says, Saul Goodman.
Which is the exact kind of point that Saul Goodman does all the time, by the way. So it's like a poster image of Saul Goodman. So, and then the last show, I love the last thing.
Like a bunch of little kids on a road trip to Disney World, man. We're here. We're finally here. We get to stop asking, are we there yet, Dragon? We are here. We have reached our destination. My God, it feels good.
I love that the last word of the season is Saul Goodman.
Uh-huh.
And the last image of the season is Kim alone and haunted as Jimmy drifts away from her forever. Perfect.
Ah, yes. Yes.
That's the season.
All right. Dragon, I honestly want to hold off on Spec until we get more info about season 5 because like we could extend this by a whole half hour if we wanted to with Spec.
Well, real quick, just one thing we should acknowledge, just to acknowledge it, we don't even have to speculate about it. But I heard Nacho's scene was cut because they had so much good stuff with Mike this episode, and they were well aware of your gripe from last season, Tiki. They were well aware that Mike wasn't in the finale of last season, so they had to get the Mike story in there, and they didn't want to cheapen it on. I think my guess is that Nacho would have had like a bit where he was.
Dragon, the only thing with Nacho is that I know that it'd be a long shot, but I'd love to see that dream scenario of Nacho and Papa meeting up with Werner at a bus stop.
Well, now we know that's impossible.
Yeah, I know it would never happen. But I was just like, oh,
mainly
man.
because Werner is dead. But
Well, I don't know if that Walking Dead crossover happens.
Of course.
Anyways.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of good stuff to speculate on, but I guess saving that for another time.
Yeah, I
Yes,
believe
yes,
final phone call to make.
yes. We got to call the future, man. I mean, Jimmy. I miss Jimmy, or as we should now call him, Saul Goodman. He's drifted away from us. I miss him already. I want to see him before next season rolls around. But you know what? We can't see him. We're going to call
Oh
him.
God, it's gonna be like a year and a half, Dragon.
But to be fair, the last time we had an extended week, we got this season. I mean, come on, is it really going to be? All right.
All right, go ahead. Give me the number.
Okay. 505.
All right.
503.
All right.
4455.
Okay, let's do it.
Hello, hola, yahate. You called Saul. You've reached the offices of Saul Goodman and Associates, your one-stop shop for all things law. If they've accused you of breaking bad, better call Saul. If you're currently under arrest or in custody, follow my three patented rules. One, keep your mouth shut. Two, keep your mouth shut. Three, don't make eye contact with anyone in a holding cell unless you're looking to make a love connection. Visit my website for more free advice. BetterCallSaul.com. The solution to your problem is just minutes away. Your call is important to us. Please continue to hold. Drug felonies, press 1. DUI, press 2. Slip and fall on government property, press 3. Illegal animal smuggling, press 4. Unreasonably hot fast food beverage accidents, press 5. Wayfair 515 victims, press 6. To continue this message in Tagalog, press star. Your call is important to us. Please continue to hold. What, the cops won't let you hold anymore? You're running out of quarters? Look, if you're going to break bad, you got to be prepared. For more free legal advice, head to my website, BetterCallSaul.com.
God bless America. All right, final thoughts, Dragon.
Final thoughts from me. This episode was one of TV's finest hours. It's like the Bates Motel. They pulled the Bates Motel season 4 ending, and it was perfect. It was just brilliant. Of course, as we said, you know, Mike and Jimmy's story, the parallel the whole season is perfectly kind of summarized at the end there, where they're both taking their first steps into hell, essentially, as Saul Goodman and as Mike Ehrmantraut, kind of the stone-blooded killer, henchman of Gus Fring. Like it's all coming together. Basically they go bad by the end. It's a bad season, and I mean in the best of ways. It's a bad in the best of ways. It's been bad, but it's been getting
this episode sucked.
It's bad in the sense of they've broken bad, and the next season is getting to that point. At the end of the day, this episode, it's a tragedy to be followed by a horror story of season 5 that I'm sure Del Toro will sure to shed a tear at. We'll be sure to shed a tear at as we are already at this season. I mean, next season, if this season was this good, like Bates Motel season 4, I can only imagine how great the next season's going to be, where it's getting closer and closer to the end. Who knows how long that season's going to be? If it's going to be like broken off in the 2 basically. If it's going to be like an extended one with a break, or like a 6th season to get to the same.
Oh, I think the show's going beyond season 5, Dragon.
Sure, absolutely. So wherever they're going to go, the point is we're going to definitely get.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it right now. I think 7 seasons is the perfect number for the show.
Really, 7?
7.
You want to go with the whole, with the whole we want to see the 3 years then.
Well, basically, I want to do the whole like. Basically, next season is going to be if we're getting into a little bit of spec here, like long-term spec, next season is going to be the formation of like the status quo of Breaking Bad, like the strip mall, QB, like everything's going to really fall into place. We're going to finally get our answer on what happened to Kim. Mm-hmm. And then season 5 is going to be the during Breaking Bad season, Dragon. That's going to be where everything, that's going to be where we bring in Pinkman. That's going to be where we bring in Hank. Everything from Breaking Bad. We're going to basically see the side stories from Breaking Bad.
Gotcha.
And then season 6 is going to be the Gene season. And I guess 6 seasons. I don't know why I said 7. 6 seasons.
Okay, do you mean 7 or do you mean 6? Because you're like, I just want to be clear here, right? Do you mean 2?
I mean 6. I mean 6. I miscounted. All right.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay, so 5 is
I think 6 seasons would be the perfect number, but 6 full seasons, not any of that season 5 A B crap.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. And final thoughts on my end, Dragon. Man, oh man. I need to go back and watch season 1. I wasn't over the moon about season 1, but ever since season 2, I've been in love with this show. And granted, of course, I'm sure I'll fall in love with season 1 all over again once I go back and rewatch it. But season 4 is just in another class entirely, Dragon. It's the best Mike storyline we've ever seen. It packed more content into the Jimmy stuff than we've ever gotten before. It twisted and turned in all kinds of directions. It subverted my expectations basically every single episode. It was a masterclass in television, a masterclass in storytelling, and I think the transformation of Jimmy McGill into Saul Goodman is going to stand as like one of the great storytelling like character arcs in all of like cinematic history, no matter what the medium is. So yeah, man, we're looking at something special here.
Something beautiful.
Indeed. All right, take it.
Remember, kids, when you get that phone call, make it count. Better Call Saul. Saul Goodman and Associates is the one-stop shop for all your legal needs.
And with that, for the last time this season, and I'm so sad, we adjourned.
We can totally be lawyers.
Totally. Michael, is that you?